Hi, Tony here, welcome to the channel where today I'll be showing you what I think is the easiest way to fit a set of Denali light pods with a hex ezCAN to a KTM790 or 890 Adventure. Not that long ago, I fitted these S4 light pods and a Denali sound bomb to an Africa Twin which I had on long-term loan, and I'll put a link to that video in the top corner if that's something of interest. Unfortunately and inevitably, the Africa Twin went back to Honda, so I had to whip all of that off, and I've had it sitting in a box here ready to go onto my own KTM. Of course, I had to switch the ezCAN from the Honda one to a KTM specific one, but I'm going to take you through this install process. I'm not going to labour every single point because a lot of it is really straightforward. Things like removing the plastics from the KTM. Anybody that's got one of these should know how to do those, and it's literally a few bolts. But I'll just show you what I think is the easiest way to route the cable, because I have seen people taking tanks off and lifting tanks, and although that's not difficult, it's just a time consuming job to get all the bolts undone. And I think I've found a way that you can sneak these in through the bike, and the cables are long enough to reach without extensions, although I do use them in the video, but for something else. So without further ado, let's just get straight on to the fitting detail of these. Then I'll show you the setting up, and then I'll show you what they look like on the bike and in use. First job is to remove these winglets. There's two bolts, one here, one here. They come out of the way because that's where the light bolt is going to mount. And I've discovered a way of routing the wiring through a little gap that's on this side, round through to the battery box. Pop the seat. So once this is out of the way, two T30 Torx bolts here gets this off. This then gives us access to the battery and the connections we need, and they've obviously got plenty of space then to fit the ezCAN in. We'll run the wire up behind this side of the tank here, and to make that much easier it means taking this side panel off. If you've not done that before, you've got a bolt here, two bolts at the front, a pop-in bolt at the bottom, one bolt at the back, a slide there, and that's off and done. So the fitting for the bracket is really simple. You've got a bolt that goes through the standard fixing at the back of the winglet, and they supply a longer M5 bolt that goes up through there, and then this just sits on the crash bar with a bracket that sits behind it. So you just bolt that together there, mount the spotlight on this bit. A nice neat solution, keeps the lights inboard as well, so if you do tip it over it's going to hit the plastic, it's not going to hit that light. And then to run the cable, you just run it through the back here, it will spit out at the back of the tank. You can just then connect everything up. So there you go, two bolts through there which come in the kit, a replacement M5 bolt that goes through there. Use your existing bolt at the front. You've got the arm fixed and the winglet in place. Been a little bit fiddly to do, but really simple. That's the mounting place. I'm just going to put the spotlight on, which is just literally a bolt through the bottom there. I'll leave that loose, and then we can start the process of putting the wiring through. Now this is where I needed to get a little bit creative, because I've got to run a cable through. There's quite a big plug on the spotlight cable, so I've got to run that through down this side here of the tank and out there. So what I did is I've got a piece of fibre optic cable which I'd kept when BT did an install, and what I can do is feed that through to find the gap, work that through until it spots out the other end. Then all I did was took the extension lead that I had for the cable, connect that to this, pull that through because it's got a thinner plug on it. Then I was able to use this to plug the spotlight cable into and pull it back through so that it comes out at this end, and that's what I've done here. It's just a bit easier than trying to connect this by tape or something to this rod, because it is quite thick, and I did have to take one of the bolts out of the frame mount at the front just to be able to feed it through. Now arguably this is the easiest part of the installation, because all you got to do is plug the hex ezCAN in, and it is much easier to do than on the Africa Twin. On the Africa Twin I had to pull out the ECU connector and sort of plug this in line. With the KTM one, now it doesn't have full support, it only has partial support, and this is probably the reason why, but with the KTM you just connect this to the diagnostics, which is already loose. So it just means when it goes in for a service, if the guys plug the diagnostic tool in, they just need to unplug this and plug it in, but it doesn't mean having to disconnect the ECU itself. So with your trusty Torx 30 Allen key or spanner that we've been using for the whole of the installation, it's time to disconnect the battery. I'm sure you know this, but always disconnect the negative first and reconnect it last. So that's the positive, there's the negative. What you need to do is make sure that you keep this fuse holder somewhere easily accessible. I may just flip that up so it all sits on the top, but for the time being I'm going to put it under there. Then just put your nail under that tab to pull this off. The holder can go back in there, keep that out of the way. Find the locating tab, plug that in. That is that done, and then it's just a case of finding the two circuits that you want to use. They're colour coordinated, which you can't quite see through here, but there's yellow, blue, red, and I think white. So they're all 4 separate circuits, but I would imagine you probably connect yellow and blue or yellow and red. It's just then a case of hoping that we've got enough space for these to connect. So that's the blue into there. Disconnect that extension because we don't need that. And that is the red into there, and that's it. That is that all connected. Going to take a little while to kind of get everything tucked away and get this up here sort of nicely sorted. We've got green light which shows this is powered, that's good. So I'm just going to put the cable into there, plug it into the laptop, run the software, get these set up. Okay, so the horn still works without having to worry about connecting that. Okay, so we'll connect it in there, plug that into the laptop. I will open up the ezCAN software. Okay, so we've got, we're showing here the red circuit for the horn, blue circuit and a yellow circuit, so it's slightly different to what we had suggested before, which means I want to disconnect that red plug from there and plug the yellow circuit into that, and then within the screen here we can see where we are. So I've got the dipped headlight main beam, day intensity 100%, and then what I can do for night time, if I want to use the running lights, I can have it at 10% for that and maybe 20% for daytime, so they run as dipped auxiliary running lights. Turn off when signal is active. Yeah, we could leave that. Strobe when horn active. I've not connected horn, so I don't need that. Strobe on flash to pass, that's when you flick that and it strobes. I'll leave it on for now just to show you, but I don't need that. In first flashing when hazards are active, might as well leave that on. We'll see if that works. The auxiliary horn, let's just see. I haven't fitted one, but standard horn still works, so we'll leave that as it is. And the accessory ignition supply, we can leave that. So we are all now set up, which should mean that if I switch the key on, everything's working. And that's as simple as it is to get this to work. I'm just going to make this a lot neater because obviously we've got a seat to go in here, we've got the cover that goes over the battery. You get some sticky hook and loop pads in the kit, so I'm going to put one piece on there. Stick this other side on. There we go. So I think what I'll do is I'll stick that to there. That keeps that out of the way. Got plenty of room with that there. The fuse is accessible, that can tuck down under there. And if I'm being honest, that's probably neat enough. Okay, so we should have enough room to snap that back onto there. Yep, that's good. Lovely and neat, job done. So here we go. When I switch the ignition on, these should be at 20% because my speedo is black, which means it's dark enough in here to assume that it's night time. During daytime this will drop down to 10% or vice versa. I can't remember how I set that up. So I've got my daytime running lights, and then when I need as much light as possible, boom, I've got 100% on these. And if I flick that 3 times, there you go. There's the strobe for the overtake. I'll probably switch that off. I don't really think that's much use, certainly here in the UK, but I left it there for you to see. And I think for me this is a really simple setup. I've just got driving lights, main beam when I need it. They're nice and neat, they're not in the way, they're easy to wire up. I'm just going to spend a bit of time adjusting these to make sure that they're not going to blind oncoming drivers when they're in the dipped mode. But other than that, a really nice simple job and a really good piece of kit. So to give you an idea how these lights perform, I went out for a little ride. As you can see, it wasn't completely dark, but I went down this section of byway because it is under cover. This is the standard dipped beam with the spotlights on 10%. And then bang, that is 100% with them on main beam, and you can see how much a difference that makes. Really nice, clear, bright white light. There's a good throw down the track, and it kicks it out pretty wide as well, so you've got a really good element of vision. I've still got a little bit of tinkering I can do in terms of lining these up, but you can see what a difference it makes. Really fantastic lights, really pleased that I put them on the bike, and this makes riding byways at night incredibly good fun. So in this shot you can see it's got much darker, and these are the lights being used in open countryside, and I think there's a pretty good throw. As I say, these could probably be adjusted to be a little bit of a wider beam. You have to consider that these are also the S4s, so if you're running with the bigger and more powerful D4s or D7s, there would be a bigger improvement over this light throw. But I'm happy with the S4s. I think they're a really good compromise between size and power. Plenty bright enough for what I need, and they don't stand out like a sore thumb on the bike either. I sourced all of the parts from a bike thing in the UK, and I'd like to thank Steve for helping me decide what parts to put on the bike and confirm what I needed. I've left a link in the description for the website, so if you're looking at any of the Denali lights or the Hex ezCAN plus the mounts, then I would definitely recommend going to check out a bike thing. They've got all the stuff that you need, and what Steve doesn't know about fitting these and what to choose isn't worth knowing, to be honest. So if you've got a KTM790 or 890 Adventure and you've been looking at Hex ezCAN and the Denali light pods, I hope this has been useful. I would think if you've got a Norden 901, the process is going to be the same, other than obviously the mounting points for the lights because of the bodywork on there. And actually I've been looking at those because it would be quite nice if you could replace the stock 901 lights with a set of the round Denali lights. I think that would be a really trick setup, but I haven't got one of those, so I can't. As usual, if you've got any questions, pop those in the comment section down below. A like and a subscribe is greatly appreciated. Don't forget to hit the notification bell if you want to see future videos coming through. And all that leaves me to say is until next time, thanks for watching, take care, ride safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.